Wife cheated many times while we dated, even once for money. The condensed version is as follows. My wife and I were high school sweethearts who married when we were just 20 years old and have been married for 25 years. On the day of our wedding, I was aware that she had cheated just once, and it was the only time she had acknowledged to it. Over the years, I persisted in my efforts because I had a gut feeling that there were more. During the 10th year of our marriage, she confessed to cheating twice before we were married, and during the 14th year, she admitted to cheating 3 times before we were married. She confessed to having cheated on me 4 times before we got married in year 20, but only kissing. Do you see the pattern? Every now and again, I feel the urge to speak about it, and I wonder whether she has cheated on me more than once. This usually results in a heated quarrel with her accusing me of being harsh and obsessive. I was making the point that she never provided me with the chance to make an educated choice about whether or not I should marry her. Other specifics, I was a virgin, and she claimed to be as well, although this was a deception on her part. The fact that she was telling a falsehood did not become apparent until 2 years into our marriage, when she acknowledged to having sexual relations with all of her partners. Her behavior towards me changed over time, and she made me feel awful for having sentiments about our tale altering. At first glance, it seemed to be a narrative of a first love that ended in marriage. After everything was said and done, it turned out that I was simply one among many, while she was actually my first and only. Recently, I've felt the desire to express myself, which is why I'm writing this article. I gave her an ultimatum. Either she confessed everything or we were going to divorce. She did not provide any new information in her response. I understand that I will never know the truth, and I must accept that fact, but I still want her to tell me more, no matter how humiliating it is for her to do so. That's the very minimum she can do. It should be noted that she has always characterized her promiscuity as part of her rebellious phase, and that she was in fact a decent girl who had gotten into a bad situation. And we were in our 20s. She also said that she was assaulted by an uncle while she was in her adolescence. I went to college and physically shared toilets with women, never engaging in inappropriate behavior apart from baking cookies with an entrance companion whom I considered a friend. I always suspected that she cheated while I was abroad, but I've never found any concrete proof. I don't believe she has cheated on me since we were married, and our marriage has been nice overall, save from one problem that has always lurked in the background of our relationship. I sometimes write messages to myself in order to rant. Here is the most recent. Clarity may sometimes appear in the middle of the night, when you least expect it. Here are a few points to consider. Does she have everything on the table? Unlikely, given her adamant refusal to swear to God, despite my repeated reminders that this is precisely what happens when you take an oath. She was using the old-fashioned religious justification, which she is well aware is untrue since anybody who takes an oath swears to God, regardless of their religious affiliation. The last time she refused to swear, it was because she wasn't giving the whole truth about anything. In conclusion, she is lying about a lot more than she is admitting to herself. So, what do? I am aware that her strategy is to reveal just a portion of the truth while leaving out the sex portion, which implies that do I believe that she has told me everything? In no way, shape, or form. I honestly believe the following. She cheated at least twice as much as she has acknowledged to. Maybe she's embarrassed, and I can only presume the worst of her. Early in our relationship, just after high school, she went to the movies with her sister's ex-boyfriend, which we found amusing. She described him as an elder brother, which she found amusing. I remember her lying about it, but it was her mother who informed me of her deception. When I arrived the next day, the first thing she said to me was that they didn't touch one another. What? I believe she was giving me a tell. Later, she acknowledged that he had shown an interest in having sex with her, and he requested a kiss from her. She expressed her dissatisfaction with the situation and requested that he take her home. I have to presume that she had sex with him. With all of the others, she gave half-truths, but stopped short of the sex portion. I'll provide instances if anybody is interested. It was discovered that her boss at Wendy's was a predator who had sexual relations with the adolescent females who worked there. When I asked her about it, she informed me that he had attempted to kiss her, but she refused because she wasn't that sort of girl. I'm going to presume she had sexual relations with him. She had sex with an adult neighbor for money. Therefore, it's possible she'll have sex in order to gain a promotion. Teenagers are not expected to make the greatest judgments, and I'm not expecting them to. The trouble was that she was behaving in a way that suggested we had the same ideals. Earlier in our marriage, I'd inquired as to whether she had sexual relations with another neighbor. She first denied having sexual relations with him, but subsequently acknowledged to having done so prior to our meeting. I've always had a sneaking suspicion that she had sex with him at least once throughout our time together. He was always on the phone and had stayed the night a couple of times. I'm going to presume she had sexual relations with him. It turned out that she had an even more creepy uncle, great uncle. He used to give her money and assist her in many ways. She stated that he had made her feel uncomfortable on a few of occasions, and she implied that she owed him something. Perhaps she had sexual relations with him, which would have been legally illegal since she was a teenager and he was most likely in his 70s. However, I can see why she would be embarrassed, and I am very sorry that it happened if it did in fact occur. Finally, she has another cousin who is a little younger than we are and who used to be abusive to her. She recently acknowledged that this cousin assisted her in paying for her prom outfit, and she also informed me that I would no longer be her boyfriend since I would be attending college in the near future. It is quite probable that she had sexual relations with him. Again, I'm sorry that this occurred, but all I want is for the truth to be revealed. Part of this is my responsibility since she didn't acknowledge anything until after I confronted her. Her hypothetical query came the morning after one of the cheating occurrences had placed the night before. What would you do if you found that I was having sexual relations with someone else? My promise to leave you seems like it happened yesterday, bearing in mind that I was a teenager at the time. It's just like that, huh? She said. Later that day, she informed me that a man she had been hanging out with the night before had forced her into having sex, but she refused and instead instructed him to put it away. I was shocked. The reality is that was a lie, but it was also an example of how she has nearly always spoken a little truth while leaving out the sex portion. Of course, she ultimately revealed that she had sexual relations with someone that night. She used the same tactic as the others, which she finally acknowledged to. This is partly my responsibility since I became enraged when she revealed certain things over the course of the years. I refer to her as a slut and a whore out of frustration. This is something I regret today, and I have not addressed her by name since before the second admission, which she confessed in the 10th year of our marriage. As a result, she would rather lie than deal with the possibility of my calling her names and asking additional questions. It's conceivable that I'll never know the whole truth. Thank you for taking the time to listen. Please contact me if you need any other information. I also have a query that I would want to have answered by a mature lady. Alternatively, any additional advice from a female perspective. I'm just curious whether my wife's conduct makes any sense. Making up a lie about being a virgin. Why? It would not have made much of a difference. I had a sneaking suspicion she was lying in any case. How many times did you tell lies? Another thing she does is downplay the amount of sex she has had. It wasn't what you think it was like. It wasn't like watching a porn movie. I never kissed while doing it, so it wasn't passionate. I didn't like it. I've only enjoyed it with you. I'd never had an orgasm until meeting you. I never seen their penis because we were never nude. No one has ever seen me naked. My next stop was a topless bar since I wanted to see another lady completely nude after her second hospitalization. Despite the fact that I used co-ed restrooms in college, I was never improper with my floor mates. I informed her of the situation. That's when she claims that no one has ever seen my breasts. Sometimes this gets me upset, and I respond by saying, "Really? Because their penises were in your vagina, I'd prefer you to show them your breasts rather than engage in sexual relations with them." Do any of these scenarios sound even somewhat feasible to you ladies? When I was 14 years old, I wasn't really enthusiastic about my hand, but it still felt wonderful. I hope that wasn't too explicit. I apologize for the lengthy diatribe. I am in the middle of my life and have no siblings, aunts, or cousins that are older and more mature with whom to address my concerns.